things were taking longer. I noticed I was breathing heavy going upstairs, realizing that no one else was coming to save me. I needed to do this myself. When we first started on this journey, I was saying, you know, it's the summer, we're moving to our summer house. There's no way this is going to work. Let's pick this up in September.
What I said to you was just get on with it. If you can't figure it out this summer, you're not going to be able to figure it out the next summer or the summer after that.
I did.
You started at 208 pounds or 95 kilograms. Now you're at like 173 pounds or about 78.5 kilograms.
There are downsides. So the downside is my tailor wants your number to be able to send a complaint.
Giles, thanks for joining me, brother.
Good morning. You got a coffee in hand?
Yeah, I do. You got your wine in hand yet over there in Europe? Or?
Absolutely. It's nearly that time here on the Mediterranean. So all good.
Amazing, brother. So I'd love to kick off this interview with you just telling us a little bit about who you are, your work situation, family situation, what day-to-day life looks like.
My name's Giles. I'm based on the Mediterranean, Alicante in Spain. I'm the oldest living Spaniard you'll come across, not the typical complexion. I found you in Catalyst, like I think a lot of people do, which is LinkedIn to a degree, but also wanting to do a change and focus on my health. I'm a father of two, launched a business 11 years ago. And that I think took up a far more of my time, energy, focus, particularly time. I'm a keen windsurfer. I'm a ex-rugby player. I mean, I'd love to say it was my academics that got me to university, but it really wasn't. I went into what I did then. So a lot of cardio, a lot of, I would hesitate to call it lifting weights, but I had no plan, as you say.
Yeah.
There was no structure to it. It was simply either running lots all in one go, stopping eating certain meals. There was just no plan to it, really.
What was the moment in time that you were like, okay, I do need to focus on my health again? Because you mentioned, okay, working long hours for 11 years, started the business. Was it, I don't know, something eased up in the business? Was it, I can't just kind of let this go further? Like, what happened to you? Where you're like, okay, I do need to focus on this now.
I think for me, it was several things. It was all work, no play. And then I sat back at one stage and I've got to that age where things were taking longer. I noticed I was breathing heavy going upstairs. My windsurf boards that I used to fly across the water on were becoming submarines. And you know, I needed, you know, stronger and stronger winds. I've got young kids and it just started a mental shift maybe. And the business got to a stage where it was not running on its own, but we had a good team there. What resonated with me was the ability to fit health in and change a mindset. And as you've said throughout, it's not a program really. It's, you know, program makes you think that you start and you stop it, or it's something that you have Mach 2 of or Mach 3 of. To me, it was the knowledge, which I think is something you don't get in some of these I've tried before. The other was the support and the community, really. All of those together.
And you said something, you said it kind of blasé, but I think it was pretty important. You said a mental switch or something along those lines. You said kids, mental switches. Can you tell me a little bit more what you meant by that? I
think for me, it was realizing that no one else was coming to save me. I needed to do this myself. It was time to, you know, I've got this very much route one mentality, and I think a lot of your clients do, which is we're very driven, we're very successful in a certain direction. And then when one goes, we either want to cut it off because it's not working properly. But, you know, healthy can't. You know, we either want to say, okay, we're not going to focus on that. We're just going to go this direction. And then for me, it was, okay, it's time to actually, you know, I was fit in, you know, decades ago. It's time to recapture it. And for me, it was, I wasn't sleeping properly. I was probably, you know, I certainly wasn't eating well, even though I live on the Mediterranean. And
you said You essentially said you took ownership, right? You said no one's coming to save you. You took ownership. And so when you did do that, I mean, I remember on our first call, you said, oh, nutrition's not a problem. I eat super healthy kind of deal, or this and that. And now you're saying you didn't really eat all that healthy beforehand. So like, what were you trying before kind of we started working together?
I think, I suppose what I should probably clarify that is, with Malia's guidance with the nutrition, you were able to dial in on the impact of some of the foods you were eating. I suppose I was overeating on carbs. So we have whole foods. I mean, my whole diet's whole food. Processed foods doesn't really feature into it. We're lucky in that sense, but it is carb heavy. It is oil heavy, and when you start focusing on, what you're having, what's being handed across, you realize that actually the fried calamari is lovely, but there are other ways of doing it. And so it's simple things like that. It's just simple switches. And when you start understanding it, and I think this is where knowledge comes in. And to me, it's been the game changer, really. It was made it less scary. And I also, over the time with you guys, initially I was obsessed with your and Malia's report cards that would come in on the Monday, and the sort of weights on every single day and that sort of thing. And then when you have the knowledge, you can go like I've just come back from 2 weeks in London where, I blew the tracking calorie monitor thing through the roof, but you have the knowledge to be able to bring it back. You know what you need to do the next weeks.
Yeah, and it's less catastrophic.
It doesn't, there's a bit of a blip and you see it coming, but you know how to control it and you have the tools
100%.
to do it.
And the reason I brought up the healthy eating thing wasn't to poke fun of you, I swear. It was because so many guys come to me and they're like, I'm eating healthy. I don't know, I'm not losing weight, right? And so, and the truth is you were eating healthy. You eat pretty much a Mediterranean diet, olive oil, vegetable, fish. You eat a healthy diet. It's just guys don't connect, okay, like quality matters of the things I'm putting in my body, but so does the overall caloric intake and so do the macronutrients, right? And so that switch that you made was obviously able to get you some pretty badass results.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's revolutionary, really, in that sense. And it's protein, I think, was upping the protein. And I don't eat breakfast. Well, I didn't historically eat breakfast.
Yeah, in Europe, whenever I go, it's like small proteins and then just like a bowl of olive oil on top.
Yeah. And so it was breakfast was something for me, and actually it's been a real positive. It's given me, I don't know, an extra downshift, I suppose, in time, less running around and that sort of thing.
For most guys, it's really hard to hit their protein goals without breakfast, and then also they get really hungry at night if they don't. And then so besides that, like what else do you felt like you believed about getting lean or getting your health dialed in that turned out to be wrong, or just needed kind of a reframe, a shift?
Supplements. So I think when you and I first spoke, I was not keen on being a pill raffler, as they say, and I saw it as a magic solution, and they're not. But we are all different. And the one that I sort of dipped my toe into was magnesium. And it's a game changer sleep-wise. Yeah. I mean, totally. Wow. Like when you told me, I was like, yeah, whatever. It was, I'm not sure it's going to really impact, but it really does. Deep sleep, it's, I reduced alcohol intake and that improved sleep. I would never 100%. Go the whole teetotal thing. But definitely midweek, the glass of wine after returning home from work, that no longer happens. And now it's a really big lever. It's quite something. And if anything, that brain fog you talk about was something that was there at the beginning, right at the beginning.
And since you focusing on these habits, do you feel the need to drink less?
I suppose, yes, if I'm honest. Because I'm sleeping earlier. I'm getting my 7 hours of sleep, which never happened.
So then let's go through your progress. So you started at, from my data here, 208 pounds or 95 kilograms. And then now you're at like 173 pounds or about 78.5 kilograms. Is that true?
That's right.
Awesome. And so for you, that took you about 8 months?
Yeah, that took me about 8 months.
And then what do you feel were the biggest levers in terms of like your daily habits, whether that was the macros or the training protocol or the steps or sleep or whatever it was? And then also like, how do you feel like building this into a lifestyle, maybe even the maintenance phases? Like, how do you feel that made this a sustainable approach versus just, 35 pounds in 4 weeks, you gain it back?
So for me, when we first started on this journey, as I call it, it's
Yeah,
I was saying, it's the summer, we're moving to our summer house. There's no way this is going to work.
I remember.
Let's pick this up in September. And you quite rightly said, just get on with it. And so you had a more eloquent way of putting it, but in effect, that's what it summed up to. And I did. And for me, it was starting. Really, it was just that. It was starting, it was getting the right equipment. Just the way my life set up, the idea of going to a gym just in those days, it just didn't fit. I did this all at home. So we got a home set up with your help. And that worked well. I was lifting weights quite late at night, but it was still working. Then for me, it was the gradual drop. So you get obsessed with the scales, at least I did at the beginning.
In the beginning, I try to reframe that as quickly as possible. But
yeah, it's quite something, and particularly when one is tracking the calorie intake and stuff, you can see the effect it has, and particularly the boost. And the hollow calories, as Malia calls it. So it dropped like that. And for me, I think it was the speed in which it did. It was just a steady drop. And I could fit it in. It became a habit. I think you can at the beginning, and then over time, as you say, it has to fit in. I think there's a difference between start and the end. I think where I've got to at the end, I can be slightly more flexy with it. At the beginning,
that's 100% true. Yeah,
it was very much, well, not the end, because it's not the end. It's just at this stage, for me, it's slotted in. But
well, to put it bluntly, it's like when you're at one extreme, which is like not focused on your health, you kind of need to go to the other extreme for a little bit of being like maybe hyper focused on your health. And then you find the middle. Like ideally we would just find the middle right off the bat, but humans just don't work that way. We got to swing from pole to pole to find the middle. And that's what happened. And that's what happens with everyone, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to put it. But circling back, I think what I said to you was just get on with it. If you can't figure it out this summer, you're not going to be able to figure it out the next summer or the summer after that. And I think that's really important that you were able to make that mindset shift, because that does get a lot of guys stuck. And I'm no psychologist. I'm not going to psychoanalyze anybody. I don't like doing that. But, I feel like when you're about to start something like this, it can feel a bit daunting. So the brain just looks for like reasons why you can't do it. And timing's always an easy one, right? It's not the right time. I'll just get to it another time. Summer's coming up. This is coming up. That's coming up. And it's like, if that's going to get in the way, it's going to get in the way every year. If you can't figure out how to do it then, you're never going to be able to figure it out. And the goal here, and I don't like giving people goals, but this is one I feel confident about giving people goals on, is if you are trying to lose weight, if you are trying to improve your health, it should be a sustainable thing, a lifestyle-based thing, not something you just do for 4 months and gain it all back. You know what I mean? I don't know if that resonates at all, but
no, it does. And this is what made me start. And I now look at it very differently than I did in the past.
What would you say is the biggest way you look at it differently?
I think for me, it's just part of my everyday life now. So it's your false commute, for instance, now has me walking and thinking all at the same time, things like that. The workouts become, because I do them at home, my son helps me with some, they become like this. My daughter is 6, so she just laughs or tries to be the additional weight, but it becomes
cute,
something that's inclusive. And so the kids are curious about it and we talk about it. So it becomes not just an individual thing, but a family thing. So it fits. There are downsides. So the downside is my tailor wants your number to be able to send a complaint. But one has to get a whole new wardrobe. But these are these are pleasant things.
Your bank statement would say otherwise.
Yeah. There's a degree of adjustment, shall we say? But it's that, and
It's your fault for looking so fresh all the time, man. You know.
People do, people do notice and stuff, and it's good.
So, final question to kind of wrap this up is: if
Sure.
you were looking back to yourself 8 months ago, or however long it's been, like, what would be a piece of advice you'd give yourself the day before you started this?
Allow time and just trust the process. I mean, it is a process. So now looking back at the technology you have and the photos and progress photos and things like that, you definitely can see the transformational cycles, but the gaps between it, and just trust the process. Really, you have created an awesome community, so lean on that. When you've got everyone wobbles, we all wobble. Everyone's pretty much been there or had the same experience or has the same pressures, and just start.
Yeah, someone said to me the other day, they're like, best time for me to do this would have been 20 years ago, but I guess now's the second best time. I was like, that's a good way to put it. But anyway, Giles, I really appreciate you hopping on today. Is there any last things you want to touch on or share before we hop off here?
Not at all, Jimmy. And Jimmy and Malia, you guys have been great, and just thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. You've been a great client. Love seeing your progress. It's fired me up every day. Your positivity. Love it.
Great.
All right, man.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Cheers.